broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Silent.
Turn it up. Hey. Here we go. Hey.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Devious Maids After Show AFTERBUZZ. This is episode 5, the talk of the town. So that's why we started out with Rihanna's Talk That Talk. We have so much stuff, to talk about today. And we have a really special guest that's going to help us talk so much stuff. We have one of the writers of Devious Maids. It's Curtis Kheel.
Got it.
Yay!
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on board.
No problem.
Yeah.
We have been watching you guys in our writers' room day after the show.
Yes.
Like, let's see what they think.
Nice.
So I had to come down and be a part of it.
Nice.
Ooh, so you probably switch things up after we talk about it, huh?
No, I think
Yeah,
you're too far gone.
Come on.
I'll be honest, by the time your show comes on, we're pretty close to the end of the run, like they're filming the finale right now.
That's right.
So
That's very right.
basically everything is pretty much being worked out, but we're paying attention for next year, should we get one?
Yeah, very cool.
Well, before we dive in, everyone, I'm Francesca. I'm your host this evening. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, XOXOCESCA. I have the other male in the room, Stephaune.
Hey, I'm Stephaune.
And then my other ladies over here.
Hello, I'm Candice Buenrostro. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or Snapchat, Candy Buen.
Hey guys, it's Laila Sadny. Instagram, Twitter, at Laila Sadny.
I just want to say that Curtis was so sweet, and he basically is telling us we need to clean our house because he brought us maid buckets.
I brought you swag.
We got swag.
Nobody else showed up with swag.
Nobody.
I need to point that out.
We were talking about that before we started taping that no one has brought us swag.
No
yet.
one.
So thank you.
I give out
Go
swag.
easy on me.
Yes.
No, we love the swag, and surprisingly, there was not a lot of cleaning going. Not surprisingly, actually, not a lot of cleaning going on in this episode, but lots of sexy scenes and kinky things.
Yeah, man.
I don't know.
I don't know if you've noticed, but we have
Juicy.
upped the
Yeah.
sex
No,
brushes.
You have actually.
We're
Before
happy.
you got
We're happy
here,
about that.
That one scene we'll talk about later. I was like, that's really racy for them. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm like, way to go.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're trying to pull those viewers in.
Yeah.
That's
You got
right.
a bunch of guy
Reel 'em
viewers.
in, reel 'em in.
We gotta keep everyone happy. The ladies
Yes.
and
We
everyone.
try to be equal opportunity.
I
Whatever
love it.
you're interested
I love
in.
Love it. So let's see. So I guess probably one of the most scandalous things this episode, we find out that Genevieve isn't this sweet
Sex tape.
little lady.
Did
Well, we
anybody?
know she wasn't sweet,
She
but
wasn't sweet, but we didn't know she was like this.
she did the Blooming Orchard, which we still
Did anybody look it
don't
up?
know what it is.
Google
I
that.
googled it,
Okay,
and
thank you.
it gave me things about like orchids, like sex, like male female sex, like gender on orchids. I'm like, this is too nerdy for me. So what's the Blooming Orchid?
is it made
Curtis?
up?
Well, the blooming orchid
Yes.
is when a woman puts her leg. I gotta go. No, it's nothing. It's meaningless. It's completely meaningless. We made it up, and actually, it is extremely. I tell you, it is extremely difficult to come up with the name of a sexual position that you want to mean nothing. But actually, you have to. We went through a series of lists. Like we had all the writers and staff contributed, what they thought it should be.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
we'd go on Urban Dictionary and type it down and be like, giraffe. That sounds harmless. Oh.
I need to find that.
For a while, we had in the script it was called the Happy Panda, and we were like, that sounds great. That's harmless.
cute.
And then somebody was
That's
like,
great.
that's when a woman's having sex and she gets punched in the eyes and makes two black eyes.
What?
And we were
I didn't
like,
even know that. Oh my gosh.
No, that's not it.
She found a lot about
sexual positions that sexual positions that you didn't know before.
Yes, exactly. And I sympathize with you in your orchid picture because when we were looking for them, I was going through and like Googling animal pictures and the things that would come up were awful. So we settled on the blooming orchid. It should mean nothing. God, I hope so.
I didn't find anything.
We don't want to put any connotations on exactly what it is, and it's actually really left to your imagination. It's exactly
Nice.
what it was.
I can think of
There's a lot to be left to the imagination with that one.
So,
I think it's genius that you all gave that to Genevieve.
yes, it is highly unexpected.
Right.
Yes.
We needed to come up with a secret that she would have that would cause her to not talk to the police.
Yeah.
After she was suspect in the murder investigation. That's what.
But
we came
it's
up
still
with.
like it's rather it's up to date. Sex tapes are like
The
kind of
thing.
the thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, with Susan Lucci's character, did you guys write it specifically for her? Because I've noticed some of the stuff, I was an All My Children fan, and I grew up watching her as Erica Kane, but some of the stuff, it's similar to her storyline in All My Children, like was divorced like 4 or 5 times, very John Viet.
I believe Marc Cherry, who wrote the pilot, I don't think that particular role was with her in mind.
Oh, okay.
I think since then it has been shaped towards
her,
Susan
yeah.
Lucci, but I believe that just like anyone else, they basically went through the casting process, and Susan Lucci was available, so it was like Susan Lucci, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people don't know that the original thought was that she was going to be the killer in season 1 when Mark wrote the pilot, is what I was told.
Oh, wow.
And when they got Susan Lucci, they're like, no. That means she's off the show. Absolutely not. So then we switched it around.
She's amazing, and we always shout out to the writers, all of her commentary.
Absolutely.
Her
Just
punchlines
yes.
are phenomenal.
She is really great and totally different from her on All My Children as well, right?
A little, she has some similarities to the Erica Kane.
She got a little Erica Kane tonight in the scene between her and Zoila at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where
Right.
Yeah.
go to Greece.
Yeah.
but she's a lot lighter on this show.
Yeah,
She's
she's
a lot
more funny.
funnier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she really hits all the right notes with that character.
Yeah,
I love her.
we know she's scandalous, but we completely got a flip of her character with the sex tape.
Oh, yeah.
And I was wondering, what could her secret be at the end of the last episode?
You did not guess that. That was not in the predictions from
No,
last
it
week.
was not.
And
love
her
it.
sex tape got leaked, which we will talk about. But I mean,
my
she's
gosh.
very current.
Like every sex
I mean,
tape
it's gotta-
often does.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Accidentally leaked. Well, this time it was purposely leaked. Actually, probably all sex tapes are purposely leaked. But Zoila accidentally tells Carmen.
Yeah.
And
Just out of curiosity, like you guys, like, what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, like,
Harmless. She wasn't, of course.
She didn't intend to.
Yeah, but it just came out. And then Carmen, under pressure, I think she's going to get fired, just comes out to save her job. And
show me this sex tape.
yeah.
Yeah, but Zoila has broken the BFF code, man. You can't, especially something as volatile to somebody's character as that. You can't drop that. She dropped the ball.
And on top, it made employer confidentiality.
Which isn't a thing, but it felt like a
should be
thing.
a thing.
It was a little bit of a slip on Zoila's part, but
Yeah.
She's pregnant.
She has pregnancy brain.
Forgive her.
Apparently
People
that's
are
real.
perfect.
Pregnancy brain. My best friend's pregnant right now, and she tells me about all her crazy pregnancy brain. I'm like, I can't believe this is real.
But Mrs. Powell's someone you don't want to mess. I mean, I'd love to see the two of them go head to head, but you don't want to get on her bad
Clearly
side.
not.
I mean, you're going to end up.
Although I think they go head to head every episode with clever lines. I think those two characters have the best.
You're right.
The best lines ever.
Absolutely
with
my
you.
favorite. My favorite lines come from them. Yeah.
But have they really?
Definitely.
They really haven't done many scenes together. So I would be interested in seeing them going at it back and forth. That would be great to see.
Yeah, in other seasons, I think there's probably been a few more. So far, this is the only one we've done this year, but they're great together.
Yeah.
And it seems perfect. They're like these heiress type gazillionaires, in their own right. So it seems like they should clash
And
of the Titans.
Rebecca Wasaki and Tom Irwin, who plays Mr. Powell, they all, hit it out of the park every single time.
Yeah.
They nail it with the one-liners.
She's
So
very good.
Yeah. But to send one tweet or one text and everybody
Everyone.
get it.
Don't
She's the
you
vice
just love
president of the board.
technology?
Yeah, that's nice.
A little Gossip Girl was infused into the show.
I know.
At the country club, so appropriate.
And she paid the guy that worked there a hefty amount of money to get it, and he must have saved it. He must have enjoyed the blooming.
Ain't that many brothers on the show, and he took the bribe. I was like, don't take the bribe. You're gonna get fired.
The cop, he didn't take a bribe.
He did, and he does a great job every week too. He's trying. In this crazy kooky world that he's in, he kind of tries to hold it together,
right?
You know, and it's a trip to watch him do it.
He's like, where did I land?
I know.
Where am I?
This is Mars. These people are very different. It's funny.
Well, I'm happy Genevieve's boyfriend was all about it.
He
wasn't offended at all.
He was happy when he found out she was that flexible.
And that she wanted to go to Greece with him.
Yeah, so they'll be doing the Bloomin' Orchid over in
Greece.
Over and over.
How do we say that in Greece? In Greek. You should learn that. So, but ultimately, the lovely bond between Zoila and Genevieve is strained this episode. So that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
My predictions, I don't think she's going to go. I think she's going to come to her senses and forgive her. I think she's just upset.
I think she should go.
No, I agree.
Dr. Christopher has been smooth. He's been understanding. He's
Dr. Christopher's a player. Let's just be
Yes.
honest here.
He just wants a
He has
piece.
been married 6 times. Said that
So is she, though.
he knows how to treat the women, and I think he's doing a great job.
And then you saw that sex tape, so now he just wants a piece of Genevieve.
Yeah,
He's
probably
gonna-
went home and watched
But he
it
still
over
wasn't like all thirsty about it. He was like, we
Played
all
it
have our
smooth.
past. He was very smooth, very understanding. I loved it.
Player.
I think he earned some Genevieve Bloomin' Orchid. He earned it.
And then
Speaking of sex tapes, there's another maid that I wouldn't mind seeing.
Absolutely not. I wish that you were still writing so we get to see a lot more Jesse.
Well, we just say that he perhaps used his abs to get the part. It would not be 100% incorrect. We definitely were looking for a good actor, but also a good-looking guy too for that part.
Sure.
We definitely wanted Marisol to have some man candy this year.
Now, how much say do you, the writers, have about the casting process?
Brian Tannen, who runs the show, makes the final decisions on all the casting.
Okay.
And the director weighs in. Sometimes some of the writers will weigh in. But ultimately, and then in the larger parts like Jesse, it was the studio and the network as well, because that's a huge part.
Yeah.
They were like, we took them like 3 guys, and they were like, that one, that guy, that's the guy. This is like no contest on this.
Good for him.
So yeah,
And I'm happy they did that.
Very happy.
Very happy they did that.
I'm tripping that what's his maid attire is it ever gonna be something other than he's always like a fitted t-shirt or jeans. He looks kind of just matter of fact.
Carmen does maid work in high heels.
Yeah, she does.
We don't really pay
which I don't mind at all.
No,
I think
of course
actually
not.
is the way every maid should be.
But
Trust that.
he doesn't really have anything else other than
yeah.
I guess the form-fitting t-shirt.
Yeah.
I like that we have a man. Okay, because all these women that are maids, they have been harassed and flirted with and sexually harassed so many times. I like that we have a guy that it's a little turnaround, switch of the tables here. Yeah.
Everyone was real excited about the male maid idea when we came up with it way back at the beginning of the
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think
really
it's
took those
great.
things up.
Yeah.
And I think we found the great guy to do it.
Yep.
You did. He's great.
Perfect.
And the scene when Marisol's talking about how hot and bothered she was to Carmen.
Right there cleaning the vent.
That
How
always happens,
convenient.
right? Oh.
I love how Carmen took a picture of him and put it on Instagram.
She's like, snap.
She's like, what are you doing at your house with this hunk of a man?
So she could bring it all to the women at the the conversation, the scene where they all get together.
Yeah.
And they're telling her to go for it, right?
Well, that's what our girls are supposed to do. I mean, she's divorced, right? So she ain't dating nobody, really.
Yeah.
One of the comments that I saw online about this was like, it really nailed it on the head, which was that she has her life so together, and then when this guy comes around, just everything falls apart. Like
Which
she's
is
a
true.
complete mess.
Yeah.
Her
And that's a
desk
really
last
interesting
week
side
was-
to that character. But So, and you were talking about her being divorced. There was some confusion in the
Yes.
world. We
Yes.
talked about this last week. We thought it was clear last year, she left Nick, and then Opal blew her brains out, and then the whole secret came out, and so we thought it was completely clear that Nick and her were finished.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for her to go back to him. We really love Mark Declan as an actor, but at the moment we don't really have a story or reason why Marisol would ever take him back into
We thought
her
he was
life.
in jail.
Yeah, we want to see some prison
So
scenes.
he is definitely, the last scene he was in, the last thing she said was, "We're going to the police," so he's in Sam Quentin or whatever. I think he was posting like free, live from Sam Quentin.
Save Nick, free Nick.
Right, free Nick.
Jailbird Nick.
So and it's not out of the question down the line, but we at the moment just would have to really put some serious thought into how that would work.
Well, this is going to be interesting to watch her let her hair down. She's very tightly wound most of the time. And,
But her love life must be a real mess if you think about it. Her first husband cheated on her. Her second one turned out to be a child killer.
Right.
Who was lying to her throughout the whole season. And then she's got this guy that she's, falling all over. And
He does
see what
her
happens down the
panties.
line. But it gets complicated again.
Now she's falling for her maid.
So,
which might be her best decision yet, I think. I mean, he does laundry.
He does laundry.
he does her panties.
Yeah, does
bras.
panties.
By
Washes
hand.
bras.
You guys wash bras by hands? Anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
It's a whole different world.
I know, I have no
Panties
idea.
And the bras.
I'm like, that stuff doesn't just go in the laundry?
Hand wash.
Sometimes, let's not get into laundry.
I had this question. Lifetime posted online. It was and a clip from the show, and they were like, "He says the P word." Is that like a thing with women? Like, is panties not the right word?
I think panties is just kind of more like feminine, like something girls kind of. Oh, my panties. So when a guy says panties, it's
more-
a little
I think
like.
It's more of like a
sexual.
turn on, is what I
Really?
think.
That's why she wanted him to stop
But
saying
there's
it.
girls who don't like to hear that word, just as much as there's girls who do.
What would
I think
you,
it's like
would
a
you say
50-50.
underwear?
I don't like underwear. That's no.
I would say
What are
panties.
they?
Canzones?
Chonies. I'm just kidding.
I would say panties.
That's what I would
guess
do.
so.
Yeah.
I guess. I
The
don't know.
guy would say panties,
Right.
so
it makes
y'all
sense
just
for
have
the
to
scene, but I
accept
can
it.
also see from the women's perspective why she would go.
It's
Yeah,
like
why
the
don't we-
word moist.
I'm taking notes for season 4 right now. Jesse walks up and says,
Rosie, that's what we're going with this.
No. Well, speaking about underwear, we have a really, really hot scene in this episode with Rosie and
Ernesto.
Yes.
And it got really, really hot and heavy. And like we said, we were not expecting that. That's
Very racy.
Very racy for the show.
We loved it.
Stephaune was really excited.
I don't know what that means for you guys. I was excited to watch where the scene was going.
Seeing
you know.
this scene in a room full of women.
Yeah.
It wasn't awkward.
No, I thought it was awesome. I felt
Were you
I
picking
felt
through
the
your
passion.
fingers?
I felt how hot it was getting, and I was wondering where you guys were going to make breaks, but you kind of just went there.
Yeah.
Did you think Spencer
Now,
was gonna
who thought it was real?
I did, definitely.
I did.
You all did.
After Ernesto comes out of the shower, or is about to get in the shower, he's got the towel. She's completely off base. She can't even remember how to speak English. She's
Or Spanish.
Or
Or
Spanish, for
Spanish.
that matter. I'm like, of course.
Right.
If he comes in, it's on.
Yeah.
And Rosie always is kind of that, like, I don't want to say ditzy, but that kind of ditzy character. And when Ernesto's around, she's just
She's upside down. She's upside down. I love
Yeah,
She's
it.
the guys on
completely
the
turned upside down.
show this year really have the women on their heels.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesse,
Right.
Ernesto, and Sebastian. Our women are running.
Know what to do with themselves.
Women are backpedaling. If you dream in that great a detail, though,
I wish I did.
It's just like, God, please.
Well, we didn't want you to
tonight.
think it was a dream, so there were various versions that we went through where it seemed more dreamy or less dreamy, or it's like things, a certain phrase would key it off, or that something ridiculous would happen in the scene that you would immediately go, it's not a dream. But we decided to write the scene as if it was real, and then have the final twist.
great choice.
To trick you into it.
Great choice. I was all in.
And we also, wanted to see those characters have sex before basically we could get there in real time.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we've given the audience what they want.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, so we find out like she goes to confess, which was a hilarious
That
scene.
was hilarious.
And she's like, I maybe made a sin, but you find out that she's actually still married to Ernesto, and that's the
In Mexico.
Yeah, Okay, so that's
the eyes of God.
Yes, exactly.
To Ernesto, which is a big thing.
That is a huge
for
thing.
religion.
Yep.
So now she's worried about God. That was sort of her last, she was, save for everyone. And she sort of looks up at the sky.
Sleep on the couch.
And Ernesto kind of sets it up. He's like, when's the last time you've been to church? And she's all like, I kind of been backsliding. So then she goes to church in the confessional and realizes my first marriage is actually the legal one in the eyes of God.
Right, because legally, she could get a divorce. Whatever the legal of that is, she could get a divorce from Ernesto, but she's got to get right with God. So she's going to have some choices to make next week.
And so now that's why when Mr. Spence, comes in his little underwears, his special underwears, not his floppy, dirty.
I was like, whoa.
I'm mad that she said, why are you wearing your best underwear? Like,
and not your floppy.
Spence. You should have a whole arsenal of best underwear,
He was in a coma for 4 months. His underwear got a little
slip-in.
She wasn't there washing it, so I got kind of mad.
Your new cool ones. I was like, oh, Spence.
But I felt so bad for Spence in this episode for 2 reasons. One, because Ernesto just kept cutting him down. Oh, look at these little chairs. This and this, and then we see that hot and steamy sex scene with Ernesto, and then you see Spence walk in, and you're like, oh, that's not the same.
Poor so after this episode, how are you feeling? Team Ernesto, Team Spence? Where are you landing?
I'm Team Spence, but Ernesto's it makes a hotter
for Spence.
hotter thing.
I think Ernesto, he has an ulterior motive. I think there's something there, and I can't put my finger on it, you guys, but there's something with
Curtis,
that.
tell us.
I'm for Spence because I agree with you, and I also think she thought he was dead for so long. There is something there. Like, why do they want him dead? Why do you want people to think he's dead? So Spence.
I'm going Ernesto.
In a jail cell in a drug cartel prison with. Apparently, he's there with gym equipment of some kind.
What else is there to do?
That's right.
Push-ups
lift
all
weights
day.
and work out.
I'm going to stick with Ernesto's team. I think that Spence is just outmanned.
Well, it is. As an audience member, you've been with Spence for 2 years.
Yeah.
You've really gotten to know Spence and been in that relationship. But we've set up this whole thing. It's like Ernesto's the father of her son. It was her first love. So, and then he's a really good-looking guy on top of it. So
I would never want to be.
We want you to feel torn.
Exactly. I couldn't imagine being in her shoes.
She's in a tough situation.
Because exactly, you thought he was dead, but he's not, and so. Wait, am I still married to him?
And the way she feels about him. Every time she speaks about him, it's like there's something very deep inside, So Spence will stand a chance.
Music comes on as she talks.
Yes.
Little birds are flying by.
That's what I was telling when Brianna Brown was here. I was like, she's looking off into the clouds. She goes into this place with her when it's Ernesto.
And for so long, she was comparing Spence to Ernesto. So now that he's actually, she can't do that anymore because this is your husband.
Yeah.
You can't keep building him down, like comparing to, because this guy's actually back.
Yeah.
The real thing's here. So.
So we're wondering if we're ever going to learn any more backstory on Ernesto, but
yes,
most definitely.
Yes.
I will give you. There definitely are still some questions left to be answered, and they are coming up in a future episode.
Awesome.
And what about Spence's baby and any of that drama? Touch?
The baby, we late into the first episode, Tucker is with Perry. Who's not on the show this season.
Okay.
So, having kids on the show, we like to focus on the adults. So it's a good way of saying that he still cares about that kid, and but we've laid in that Perry doesn't let Spence see Tucker that much. So he's just basically on the sidelines off the show. So.
Yeah, that's always tough.
Feel bad for him.
Poor Mr. Spence.
Mr. Spence.
He doesn't have to be.
Everybody has turned against him, it seems like.
Yeah, he's like alone.
Poor guy.
He doesn't know it yet so far. But we did learn something.
What?
This season. Or this episode. I'm sorry. So Louis, we see Louis for the first time face because we saw when Michael handed off the money to him, but we didn't know who he was.
Exactly.
And now we know that.
I originally thought, I've been thinking that the person he handed the money to was who killed.
Right.
Yeah, so he's the one that got killed, or he was part of the murder. But now we find out
he was the
victim.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't forget about that because it was it was like just one little thing that was in episode 1.
No, I didn't. It stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
It was because it was a little random, so it stood out. So you're like, what? Why did they focus on that? Because obviously they're not just you guys are not just going to give us something crazy.
Which now? Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, it's just that he sent Michael sent him to the house to spy on Taylor.
Spy, yeah.
And then next thing you know, his leg was on Evelyn's lawn. So what happened in between?
And the hand.
So my thing is, who is she actually having an affair with?
Or is there an affair?
Is she having an affair?
Or is she?
I don't think there's an
denies it.
affair.
So that's one question you should be asking at this point. Is she having an affair? If she's having an affair with who?
Yeah.
Because who is she whispering on the phone with, like Michael said,
Well, that, and then the scene, when she's, like, saying, what did you do with Blanca? Who is she talking to?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely a fourth person here that we need to be.
She is definitely colluding with someone.
Right,
But whether it's a romantic relationship or some other kind of relationship, is that the person who came into the house and took Blanca, or is it somebody else? Those are all questions.
Well, then in Katie.
Oh, man,
And then there's
Blanca as
also
well.
Katie. So how does Katie fall?
And you see what happened in this episode, so she's fully capable and a little psychopathic.
Well, I was going to say, the last episode, Katie, we took away that mysterious murder vibe from Katie, and she seemed more innocent last episode. Now, this episode, for a split second, I was like, oh no, she's evil again, because she had that little look. But then I thought about it. She sees her mommy sad, and her mom said, these pills are for adults, and they make adults happy again. So I think that she thought she was doing her mom a favor and putting a whole bunch of happy pills in her wine, which little does she know, because she's way too young to know that. That's just a horrible combination.
Yeah. I don't think she's having an affair. I think that's something to do with Katie's real parents or something on that aspect.
Yeah.
I think she loves the little girl too much, but there's something that's going on. It's not an affair. That's my prediction.
Well, I'm going to give a prediction.
I'll wait till you give your prediction.
Yeah,
I'll weigh in.
All right. No,
So-
I ain't going to give it now, though. Go ahead. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm listening to you.
No. And then lastly, before we bombard you with tons and tons and tons of questions, Curtis, we see Adrian up and up.
The best scene ever.
My favorite scene ever. I think any.
Sorry.
We were talking about it in the screening
Did we
room.
go too far? What do you think?
No, I thought it was hilariously perfect for Adrian, that shot and that scene.
His expression, facial.
When he discovers that it's Sebastian, you're talking about?
And he's doing the creeper around the
creepy
corner.
face was perfect.
And he realized he can get his SMS stuff still going on.
S&M.
Yeah, I was just definitely telling you guys that we had a little controversy over that shot as to whether it was a little too much for our show. It's sort of our show's tone is like you always are balancing like how far can we go, how far not, and there were some differing opinions on whether that shot was too much or not.
So what made you guys finally go with it? I mean, what was that?
Enough people were like, we really like it. It's funny. It's sort of like a tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Like, isn't this hilarious how he's like lurking around the corner right between them. And then we sent it off to the, once we decided we wanted to do that, we sent it off to the network in the studio and no one balked at it. So we were like,
yes.
We'll go with it. We'll keep it.
I mean, I think it fits his personality perfectly.
Yeah, to a T.
Yeah, anyone else I don't think it would have worked for, but yeah, Adrian, I agree.
Yep, and he's using it to his advantage because his new safe word is blackmail.
Yeah, so he has her. I mean, she's like, I'll tell Mrs. Powell, but yeah, you'll lose your job, Sebastian will lose his job, and, you're still everyone's gonna know.
Yeah.
And his wife will probably leave him,
His wife, which
I don't think
we
she
don't
would leave
know
him.
who she is.
You don't think she would leave him?
Oh,
No.
Correction.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. All season I've been... I read in an article that I thought his wife was Eva Longoria. And Curtis here just clarified it is not.
spoiler,
Sorry,
his
spoiler.
wife is not
Eva Longoria.
However,
You heard it here first.
I will tell you his wife will appear at some point later in the season, but I'm not going to say who she's played by or where she appears. She kind of
Nice.
comes around in a surprising way.
I'm excited.
Very excited.
And I'm not just throwing you off the trail like Eva Longoria is going to show up. No.
You just gave me an idea for a prediction.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's do some.
Get some predictions going, guys.
And now,
like, what's going on? Everybody's time warp here.
We got some cool studio lighting going on.
You're in space. Okay.
What's your idea?
So it just clicked. I think that the murderer is his wife. I don't know who the wife is, but she's definitely the murderer.
Wait,
and
his wife meaning Michael?
Sebastian's
wife
that we
is
don't
the
know
murderer.
is the murderer.
Huh.
She's the one cutting up body parts.
Huh.
How would that tie in?
Huh.
How would it tie in?
I feel the stretch. I feel the stretch here.
We don't have all the
I don't
pieces.
know.
Let me just say, I'm not
don't-
saying whether it's right or wrong. We don't have all the pieces yet of the mystery, so you don't know what happened. So maybe there's a tie-in. Tie-in there.
What if she was involved in the second season with getting those guys to go out and rob all the rich families and rich houses and do the shootings, and she was like the leader of all of this?
Do the seasons
Kinda
move
crazy.
together, or you guys?
Typically, we basically start with something new at the beginning of every season. Typically. But maybe not this year.
You're using great
Might be onto
words.
something.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my prediction, and it was kind of far out, but
All right.
I still think that there's something going on with, and also the way Blanca was abducted. It's almost like mafia kind of style, like cartel. Maybe whoever Katie's parents were.
Ernesto.
Something. Ernesto.
Savannah's wife. Basically, everyone's mixed in with
Yeah.
everything.
And Genevieve, I don't think she's gonna leave. I think she's gonna have a change of heart.
What do you guys think about Rosie? Is she going to be, or are we going to start to have hashtags Team Spence and Team Ernesto?
They already started it
Oh, they have?
You should look on Twitter.
waiting.
We want to know.
I gotta
We
find
want to
out
know.
who's
Who do you think Team Rosie, Team Spence? I also want to know. Last week there was a debate over what's the hottest guy on the show. Last week it was like Ernesto was like faltering off number 1 down to number 2. Where are we standing on the guys?
I have
But
my
liked
own
yours.
personal preference.
Sebastian's like
Mine
number
left
3 on
the
this show. On any other show, he'd be a number 1.
Right. He's got that Banderas,
Yeah.
you know? But I can see that, though. I think
Ernesto-
after this episode,
Definitely
Ernesto's going to be back.
Ernesto's
up.
back.
Stock is going up.
Yeah, he'll be back at the reigning king.
I do have a quick question, really quick. Did you guys know that the string cheese was going to be such a...
No, we had no idea. And by the way, I eat string cheese that way.
I do too.
My father's dead, so maybe, I don't know. There's a
We do.
How did he die?
I'm not saying. That's a secret.
Did you
as well.
paint creepy pictures too with murder weapons?
No, we had no idea. Nobody, it's not in the script that says, like, Katie eats string cheese in a bizarre way. No, that was just something that the internet picked up on.
That's funny.
If we'd known that would have been great.
Right?
We would've written
Yeah.
it in.
But isn't that awesome to see that, like, what the audience reacts to and, like, what they pick up?
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, and because we create the show pretty much in a vacuum because we write all the shows mostly ahead of when they start airing. We're pretty close to the end by the time they actually get on the air. So we just have to sort of guess. That's why I'm curious about like what you guys are reacting to. Because we talk a lot about like what do we want the audience to be thinking? Who do we want the audience to be liking at this point? And so it's interesting to see what they gravitate onto, but no one ever said, and Katie's evil because she eats string cheese.
That's never come
She's
up.
aggressive with
That's
string
funny.
cheese.
So what is the process? So there's a few of you guys are just in the room writing one per week, or
the show is extremely collaborative, even more so than I've been on 6 other hour-long shows, and this show's kind of run more like a comedy, much more collaborative in terms of every aspect of the process. At the start of the season, we sat around with Marc Cherry for 6 weeks or a couple months and talked about like the beginning of the season and where things were going, plotted out some of the earlier episodes. Then Marc is now in a consulting role on the show, so he comes in every once in a while and we talk him through stuff and he adjusts things as we go. But generally we come in every day and we all sit in the room and we talk about the stories and you pitch things, and Brian Tannen, who runs the show, he'll, you pitch him stuff and he decides which direction we're going to go in. And then a lot of times we will, when scripts are written, we'll break them up and sort of do rewriting on them across the staff. We have people who are great at comedy. We have people who are great at drama. Our show hits so many different notes that you start to realize which writers are good at which things and sort of gravitate them more towards that. Where on other shows, it's more that one writer handles one particular episode and goes off to write that. On our show, it's much more that you're like sort of writing the best case scenario, you're writing a storyline in an episode, and in the worst case scenario, you're writing like this scene in this. Right. That's when we're really scrambling for time. It's like you write this scene, you write this scene, you write this scene.
Generally, how long does it take to write an episode? Do you guys have time restraints or?
In the earlier part of the year, we have much more time. Once the production ball gets rolling, they started filming in February this year. Then you start running out of time, and so it starts to become much quicker. We have to force ourselves to go faster. Once that sort of kicked in, I think we were averaging about 2 episodes a month. Basically, from doing the breaking of the story as well as getting the script out.
Wow.
That was about the pace that we could keep up with.
So which kind of writer are you more?
I'm actually right pretty much in the middle. Brian and I think we can do both drama and comedy. And I probably err a little bit on the side of drama, and Brian errs a little bit on the side of comedy. And although interesting enough, every once in a while, like I make something funnier and then he pulls it back. So it's pretty much in the middle for me. But there's other writers in the show that are just like a lot of those Evelyn one-liners.
Yeah, so good. They're so great.
Who is another writer on the show, and everybody's voice comes out in different ways on different lines. And I can tell you if we sat through the show, it's like that person wrote that person wrote that. So
how big is the writing team? How many people does it consist of?
We have 6.
6, okay.
I think there's 6 of us. Yeah, and a combination of men and women.
With all the work that goes into it, though, how much improv actually happens from some of these phenomenal actors?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
Actually, they're very good about not doing that. I've been on other shows that I will not name. They basically had free license to say whatever they wanted, which becomes a real problem.
Sure.
When you get to editing and are trying to clarify a plot point.
Right.
On this show, they're actually extremely good about that.
Okay.
But once in a while, there is something that slips in. I know in this episode when Marisol said at the end of the scene with the women, and they were like, "Are you going to go out with him or whatever?" And she's like, "No, I am not." And then she added not even a little or something to that.
Oh,
Which was actually very funny,
like,
but she added it to the end, and we're like, "Oh, that's good, and we'll keep it." And sometimes we keep it, and sometimes we don't. But they're really good. I mean, they're really professional. It's a really incredible, very, very talented group of people who are very good human beings on top of it. So it's really an honor to be able to write for them.
Have you visited the set in Georgia where
I did. I went there earlier in the season. We usually, especially as the season gets going, we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So every writer, Brian went a bunch of times, but every writer pretty much rotated in there at least once. I went at the very beginning of the season as we were getting going.
Very nice. Well, before we wrap up here, we don't get to see previews for the episodes. We were talking about this.
Yeah,
we're really
drives
bummed.
us crazy.
We want our previews back. We don't understand when the last moment of the episode happens, and then it's like next week Devious Maids doesn't happen. So I'll give you the next week.
Yes, fill us in.
Okay, so who should we start with? So Marisol and Jesse. As you can see what direction that's going in, and that will move forward in a certain way, but it will have an unexpected complication. I think really exciting, Evelyn next week will find out what's going on between Adrian and Carmen. And that's going to send her on a surprising journey.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
It has a twist to it.
Grease maybe?
Grease?
Grease maybe?
Dr. Christopher, he gets 2 girls.
She'll decide at the end, she'll like, I think I'll go with Jean-Pierre.
What's his makeup?
Rosie will continue to be torn between Ernesto and Spence, but I will say that things will reach a boiling point because God's going to weigh in next week.
Oh, God.
That's what I'm going to say. And
You guys are like,
lastly,
oh, God. That guy.
yeah,
How
you'll
about
see what I
Taylor?
mean. What?
Taylor and Michael.
Taylor and Michael. Well, I can't say much about Taylor because we kind of left her at death's door. So, Michael is left to take care of Katie.
Oh, that's
In the
interesting.
aftermath of the incident. You'll get a little nugget of information about Katie
More string cheese?
that she will deliver while eating string cheese.
That's right.
No, she will not deliver during string cheese, but there will be a little bit of nugget of more of information about Katie. And then for Zoila, Zoila's sister shows up. And she is played by Justina Machado, who is wonderful.
Okay.
And she brings out the best/worst in Zoila because they do not
I
get
can't wait to
along
see that.
at all.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Well, for some, tips for next season, since the writers are watching, I did have a great idea, you guys. I mean, there needs to be like a reporter recovering all the devious stuff going on, and an
Devious
actor.
reporters.
So yeah,
Devious reporters. I feel a spin-off.
The gossip. Just letting you guys know. Contact my agents.
Discuss all the things that go on the show. Well, Spence is an actor. Maybe we could tie that in.
Wow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Curtis,
No
for
problem.
coming
It was
in.
fun.
That was cool.
I wish we could stay here all night and keep chatting, and I would keep probing at you to get more information.
Thanks
You're
for the
not gonna
swag.
get it.
Thank you for the
Timing
swag.
up like Adrian.
And my
Not giving you that
bag.
information.
Let everyone know where we can find you on all
I'm on
social
Twitter,
networks.
and you can reach me at Curtis Kheel. It's CurtisKheel.
No
Nice.
Instagram, no
I'm on
Snapchat.
Instagram too. You can look there, yes.
Okay.
But Facebook, I'm really particular about because I post pictures of my kids. So
Yeah.
I'm
Nice.
a little bit. So don't be offended if I don't accept your Facebook. I'll work on the other ones.
Right. That's
Awesome.
personal.
Stephaune, where we can find you?
Yeah, if you guys want to find me on Instagram or Twitter, I am at I am more fire.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I just joined. I'm getting better every week. Candice Buenrostro, CandiceBuen.
And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Laila Sadny.
Yay!
I am not hip enough for Snapchat.
I'm learning.
never mind.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I'm not either.
You
She
get the
taught
hang of
me.
it. It's fun. And guys, you can find me Twitter, Instagram, XOXOCESCA. One more time, thank you so much, Curtis, for
Thank you.
coming.
No problem.
much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Enjoy your bucket.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm going to go clean.
Could use some stuff.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.